All right, hi and welcome. In this short video, we're going to talk about the industry level reports from the Security Readiness program run by Intel Health and Life Sciences. And the example we'll use here is the Global Industry Report. And this is aggregate anonymous industry level information. It does show the average maturity, the priorities, and the capabilities for the benchmark set. In this case, the benchmark set is the global benchmark set, so all health and life sciences organizations that have participated in this program to date. So this can be very useful information to get an idea of the readiness of health and life sciences for different kinds of breaches, 8 different kinds of breaches, and where capabilities are strong and where they're weak, and where there's opportunity for improvement. This report is actually quite similar to the confidential reports issued to organizations that participate in the program, the difference being that this report is looking at the aggregate sort of average information only, not the specific assessment results of any one organization. So the contents, we have an executive summary, an overview of the maturity of the benchmark set, look at the priorities and readiness across 8 different kinds of breaches, including ransomware. And then a detailed look at the maturity. We'll look at all 42 security capabilities and where the benchmark set is relatively strong and where they're relatively weak. And then each of the 42 capabilities is a detailed section on those. Okay, so the executive summary, I'll just zoom in here a little bit. The executive summary has, the date and time when this report was generated. The comparison set is, in this case, 92 organizations. It's the global scope. That's all the organizations that are participating up to the date of this report. There's a little bit of information here in the executive summary about what this program is and what it is not. It is an open industry collaboration led by Intel Health and Life Sciences. We have over 40 industry partners working with us globally to deliver this security readiness program to health and life sciences organizations. This is a program that enables health and life sciences organizations to benchmark their security maturity, priorities, and capabilities against both the rest of the industry as well as peers, of a similar focus, size, and location. It is not a replacement for regulatory or data protection law required activities. For example, if you're in the US and you're held to HIPAA, this is not a HIPAA risk assessment. This is in addition to that. This is complementary. What this does specifically is shows you how your security compares to the industry and peers. This is also not a replacement for security activities you do around security frameworks like the NIST framework or the ISO 27000 framework. Those are great frameworks and you should do those. This is separate. Again, this is showing you how your security compares with the industry and peers. This can be valuable information to factor into your security decision-making process of where to focus limited time and resources going forward to improve your security. The reality is a lot of attacks and breaches, and even accidental breaches, tend to affect organizations that are lagging their peers. They're relatively vulnerable. A lot of cybercrime hacking and phishing is untargeted. They just broadcast phishing emails. They don't really care who you are as long as you get infected and you pay. So these are the kinds of breaches that you want to pay attention to. And, if your security is behind peers, then this can give you visibility into that and specifically what capabilities you're lagging peers in, and the opportunity to factor that information into your decision-making process going forward. So there's a few short videos here, an introduction to the Security Readiness Program for a sort of broad overview just to supplement what I just shared. There's also a video that talks about this report specifically, linked here. So if you socialize this report with colleagues, they can get to that video through this link. The sections of this report, so the first one is the maturity overview. So here it scores the benchmark set in terms of the percentage of capabilities the set has in the baseline tier, the enhanced tier, and the advanced tier. So you can see this set has roughly 3/4 in the baseline, roughly half in the enhanced, about 1/4 in the advanced tier. That's a pretty typical profile. The priorities and readiness, what this shows is across 8 different kinds of breaches, the average prioritization of those breaches. Remember, the priority reflects the level of concern, typically roughly approximates the allocation of time and resources by health and life sciences organizations to each type of breach, to mitigating risk of each type of breach. And so you can see ransomware is by far the highest priority here, 85%. This number would be 100% of every single organization in the benchmark set ranked this high. But it's at 85%. So almost all organizations are rating this breach type a high priority, and it turns out to be the highest priority across the benchmark set globally. Cybercrime hacking, next up at 74%, medium high. And insider accidents or workarounds, medium high at 63%. Again, not just focusing on external sort of hacker type breaches here, also accidental breaches that occur through workarounds or business associates and so forth. So taking a broad sort of spectrum look at 8 of the most common type of breaches here. And this helps you understand how the benchmark set is prioritizing those breach types. You can compare that to your own sort of priorities and see if you might be over or under prioritizing. The readiness scores here, readiness percentage is the percentage of relevant capabilities the organization has. When I say relevant, I mean relevant to this breach type. So there's 42 capabilities assessed in total as part of this readiness workshop that's done with the Health and Life Sciences organization. Again, that's a 1-hour complimentary confidential engagement, typically done via a secure conference call. But 42 capabilities are assessed in total. But for cybercrime hacking, there might be 20 or so that are relevant, 20 or so capabilities that are relevant to mitigating risk of cybercrime hacking. What this percentage is showing is the minimum readiness score for this benchmark set. So the lowest scoring organization for cybercrime hacking readiness had 23 of the capabilities relevant to mitigating risk of cybercrime hacking. The highest scoring had 90%. So you can see there's a huge spread in readiness here. And this is key to the value prop of this program, is we want to help these organizations that are at the low end understand who they are and specifically where they can improve to bring themselves into a safer place. Again, a lot of attacks are opportunistic, they're untargeted, and they tend to affect organizations that are lagging. So if we can give organizations a heads up in advance where they're lagging and they have the opportunity to remediate that, they can mitigate risk of these kinds of breaches going forward. The average for the benchmark set was 59% for cybercrime hacking. So a lot of opportunity to improve the average across this benchmark set in terms of readiness for cybercrime hacking. So there's a lot of room for improvement overall, but some organizations are really lagging, and those are the ones in particular we want to help. So that's similar, statistics for each of these types of breaches. You can see for ransomware, they're the highest priority. Lowest scoring organization had only 17% of the relevant capabilities. Highest scoring had 91%, so even bigger spread. And the average about 58%, so a lot of room for improvement. We want to help identify and bring in the stragglers, if you will, and then iterate the industry from where it is, the current average, up through the levels of maturity to improve. This program is not asserting that average is good or average is right. What it is doing is helping identify the stragglers, helping them understand where they can improve specifically, and bringing them into a safer sort of posture from a security standpoint, and then iterating the industry up the levels of maturity. Okay, so that's a key result. If you click down on any one of these breach types, you can see the average prioritization of this type of breach. Ransomware, 79% of folks are prioritizing that high, 12% medium, 9% low. There's a readiness diagram here that shows the spread of readiness scores. Again, a huge spread from 15% to 90%. We want to help these organizations at the low end understand who they are and iterate them up to a safer place from a security posture standpoint, and then help the average iterate up the levels of maturity. Many attacks can be targeted. If a hacker, for example, is coming after your organization specifically, then you need to, there's always room for improvement in your security. So a lot of the breaches are opportunistic, they're untargeted, broadcast phishing, for example, and those are probably the bulk of them. But if there's a specific attack on your organization, you need to be as far to the right of this diagram as possible. So there's always room for improvement, and you should always seek to mitigate as much risk as you possibly can, given your resource and time constraints. For each of these breach types, there is a maturity model that shows only the capabilities that are relevant to that particular type of breach. So here we're looking at ransomware maturity details for the healthcare industry. Again, the benchmark set 92 health and life sciences organizations across 9 countries participating at this point. But the green indicates that most organizations in the benchmark set have it, the orange some have it, and the red few have it. I think the thresholds are 33% and 67%. But this shows you where healthcare is relatively strong, the green, and where they're relatively weak, the red and the orange. The conventional sort of mantra is that healthcare security is lagging other industries. And what we're trying to do with this program is really anchor that in solid, high-quality data so folks can see specifically where healthcare is weak in security and specifically where it's relatively strong. For example, healthcare is doing okay with backup and restore, 87% level of implementation. But when it comes to security incident response plans at 60%, 40% of folks don't have a documented security incident response plan. That's a huge gap, and there's a lot of opportunity for improvement. So you can look at these numbers here and see where healthcare is relatively strong and weak. This data is acquired by trained security assessors. It's verified security teams inside health and life sciences organizations. And the organizations that participate are given the opportunity to update their results at any time. So this data is much higher quality than you would see from, say, a survey on the internet. And that's important if you're going to be making decisions based on your benchmark against a particular set. So similar information like we showed for ransomware here, but for the 8 different kinds of breaches, from cybercrime hacking down to ransomware. If we look at the maturity details, this is showing us the overall dashboard, if you will, of all 42 capabilities assessed across the baseline, enhanced, and advanced tiers. And you can see, again, the green is most have it, orange some have it, red few have it. And again, the thresholds are, I think, 33% and 67%. But you can see overall here, so not for any particular breach type, but overall, across the entire capability set assessed, the 42 capabilities, what are the results for this benchmark set? In this case, 92 organizations. Now, any one of these, you can click down on it. So, for example, if we see a security incident response plan, we want to understand the breakdown of that. We can click down. There's roughly a half page of information on each type of capability. And this particular capability, there's a definition here. This is the same as the definition in the questionnaire used during the workshop. You can see that the industry of this benchmark set of 92 organizations, 41% have this capability fully implemented, so they have their documented security incident response plan complete, accurate, complete, and up to date. 37% have something, but they're working on it. There's significant work to do. 22% have nothing. So, in the event of a security incident, there's so many points to coordinate both inside your organization and outside with regulators, data protection authorities, in some cases the media, patients, of course, security partners like digital forensics folks, legal counsel, etc. You really have to have a security incident response plan documented. If you are in the set of folks that do not have one or are working on it, strongly recommend prioritize that. This is what we call a foundational capability. It's relevant to all the breach types. You need an incident response plan that you follow for every security incident. Okay, so there's a half-page section on each of these capabilities, and you can see a breakdown of the percentage implementation from absent, 22% have nothing, to partial to present, fully present, with no significant work to do. So that's really it, what's in this industry level report. An important thing to note when you look at one of these is the cover. What is your benchmark set? This is the global industry report. So the global is always referring to the complete set of health and life sciences organizations globally that have participated in this program to date. The next thing to look at from a context standpoint is the metadata in the executive summary. Again, the comparison 92 organizations, global scope. Okay, thank you for your interest in the program. We welcome your participation. If you'd like to find out more, look at us on intel.com/security readiness, and there's more information in these videos from the industry level report. Thank you.